Strange letters from a Queen Bughorse. Letter 1. Received via Dragon Mail.
Dear Princess Celestia, yes, I know, and no, I'm not going to get in the way of that ridiculously delicate plan that you're making the world depend on. Though, you can't expect me to intercede with all appropriate force if it fails, as I expect it probably will. I don't care much about which particular pony sits on that throne of yours, but I like eating salads, and from what I understand, a complete lack of sunlight will cause trouble for that kind of thing. But I'll get to the point. I want to go public. Come out of the shadows, all that stuff. I have in mind a crown union, as in the olden days of Equestria before unified rule, an exchange of new titles, and a reciprocal extension of inheritance law. The both of us would then enjoy the privileges and obligations of duty towards both nations. I'm certain I could manage some suitably photogenic excuse for the reveal. Some blather about ancient curses, poor pitiful changelings being awakened to their ancient glory by that junior alicorn that you keep in your pocket. Mumble aid to Equestria in its hour of need, blah blah blah. There's a whole cascade of world-ending affairs that will be shortly plaguing this continent at regular intervals, and I don't trust you to handle them on your own. If I actually expected you to successfully manage any crisis more complicated than a kitchen fire, we both could have just kept the status quo of my changelings invisibly, but inevitably vampirizing your ponies at a whim. But I can't, so I have to change how things work around here so someone more competent than you, that is me, can act publicly. Enclosed is the address of a mailbox in Canterlot. Send me your responses there and I'll receive them. Yours in questionable humor, Queen Chrysalis. P.S. I'm sure you understand the implicit threat that comes when receiving this letter via Dragonfire mail from within your own castle. I'm inclined to cooperation, but I'm not going to make this move without some precautions.
Letter 2. Found in the private cake cabinet.
Dear Princess Celestia, it was hilarious watching you try to interrogate your own staff and guards. You really aren't good at this kind of thing, are you? I particularly liked how that one maid ran off crying after admitting that she was the one who ate that slice of cake 3 years ago. It was all pointless anyway. Any infiltrator of mine in your castle would have had the role for years. Of course, you understand the mind games are obligatory, and there may or may not be any changelings already situated close to you. It could even be that I've spent decades slowly replacing every position in the castle with a changeling, so that you and the unicorn and that pudgy little dragon are the only non-changelings who live there. It's not very likely, but you'll have to think about that now, don't you? Come to think of it, that unicorn and her whole family might be changelings. So, how much do you really know about them? Isn't it rather convenient that they're all so close to you and to that ingenuine in pink? I'll be generous. My offer still stands, even after your pitiful sneeze of a betrayal attempt. I'll even extend my grace. You can attempt to find my changelings all you like, and so long as none of them come to harm, I'll refrain from sneaking thumbtacks into all of your sea cushions. Of course, you're not actually going to find any, because you don't even know what we look like. But I just wouldn't be me if I didn't taunt you with the possibility. You really should take this seriously though. It's only a week to the Summer Sun celebration, and you know what that means. Wouldn't you prefer making friends over enemies? Yours in endless mockery, Queen Chrysalis. P.S. Please forward my compliments to the Royal Bakery. Your triple fudge cake is fantastic. Just in the moment I took the first bite, I began to understand how you could have let yourself grow so prodigious. You really were more attractive back when you were a bit smaller, though.
Letter 3. Left on a cluttered desk.
Dear Princess Celestia, I find myself less disappointed than usual that I've finally gotten a response from you. There wasn't much point in you trying to stake out the address, though I consider the embarrassment that you went through a benefit for me. Every gossip rag in Canterlot is publishing pictures of your senior officers hiding in bushes, watching perhaps the most uninteresting law office this side of the southern latitudes. Oh, and the looks when one of your ponies finally opened their envelope and realized it was empty. As for the contents of the letter, I am frankly offended by the presumption that I would harm your darling little nervous wreck of a student. The prospect of endless night bores me, and as unlikely I consider the success of the house of cards that you call a plan, I have no reason to not at least let you try it. If any part of it fails, of course, and it will all fall apart at once. And that comes to the main subject of discussion. The clock's ticking, Princess. More than one clock, in fact. Hundreds of clocks, thousands. It's an entire palace wing full of clocks, all built up from floor to ceiling. There are so many clocks stacked up on each other that it's just the ticking that makes some of them start to shake themselves out of the pile. There's something impressive about it, and I don't think you could have lined yourself for this much trouble over the next few years, even if you tried it. You know I'm not going to tell you how I know, and I know that you know that I'm not going to tell you how I know, and you know that I know that you know that I'm not going to tell you how I know. You don't have to know how I know that I know that you know that I need your little ponies to sustain my little changelings. Would you rather have wolves or shepherd dogs? I know that you know that I know that you know the right answer. By the way, I will of course give you no guarantee that I will not seduce that unicorn, get her to join my book club, or otherwise subvert her misplaced loyalty in you to service me. Do have fun trying to handle that without stamping on whatever fragile sense of societal rapport that you let her achieve. Yours in dubious antagonism, Queen Chrysalis. P.S. Keep the paperweight if you'd like. I needed something to make this letter stand out from your usual mess, and it seemed like just the tchotchke to complement that garish mug of yours. P.P.S. The book club selection this month is Wuthering Hooves. Do let me know if you'd like to join.
Letter 4, atop a silk sheet.
Dear Princess Celestia, I had a lovely time while you were gone. Oh, and there's no need to thank me for arranging for some semblance of the order while you were busy off in a hole under a dungeon under the surface of the sun, or wherever it is that your sister put you while you were having that little spat. It was obviously from the moment that I made myself known that you hadn't prepared your ponies for even a measly day or two of eternal darkness. Do they also scream and run about when there's an eclipse or a particularly large bird flying overhead? You and I both know that I could have done more. Consider it a token of goodwill that I merely had a bit of fun ordering your little ponies about and taking advantage of every amenity of your private suites. Where did you even find sheets with such a high thread count? Are they some sort of royal commission? It was like wrapping my naked body in a cloud without all the cold and damp that comes with the real thing. And that bath of yours? One could fit at least 5 or 6 hefty stallions without even trying. I had that secretary of yours pencil in some time for the nerds to start setting up all the legal nonsense. Oh, and you're going to be changing everything to write your sister back into the government, so it's as convenient a time as any to lay the groundwork for unification. It would really be more convenient if you were an unabashed and unrepentant tyrant like me, instead of pretending to rule by law while intermittently editing history, but I suppose you're not competent enough to keep your ponies in order without the extra support. If this goes well, then perhaps we could even meet in person. Or maybe we already have. Are you entirely sure that none of the ponies in your court are actually me? I'm sure that you understand the temptation to laugh at your follies in person is immense, no matter how unwise it would be for me to, for example, take the place of your servants and arrange for a door to open a crowd of ponies at the precise moment that you find yourself in a compromising position with your newly returned sister. Yours in future abutment, Queen Chrysalis. P.S. I took that horrid chimeric statue that you keep in the gardens because there's a certain appealing repugnance about it. It would make a delightful decoration for my throne.
Letter 5, sent via the Daily Post.
Dear Twilight Sparkle, I write to inform you from the Canterlot Historical and Non-Factual Generalist Educational Learning and Natural Gregarious Society, having recently learned of your newfound position as head librarian of the town of Ponyville. While we are an organization of no great repute, we have recently begun to fund a number of subsidized book club programs in Canterlot under a literary endowment program. I'm writing to ask if you might be interested in your capacity as librarian in running the first such book club supported by us in Ponyville. Among other minor amenities, we are able to make monthly book selections available via mail order at wholesale prices. And we have basic educational materials available for each book. If you're interested, do reply and we'll respond shortly to arrange the details. Yours sincerely, Liminal State. P.S. Next month's book is The Haunting of Hill Horse.
Who would have knew that we'd go to a completely different set of letters? But my god, I love it, and I cannot get enough of this. Now let's head on to our irresistible donators. Top donators, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, and Ponyman. CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, Strix, RuneScythe9852, Dospo, Rhiny Dragonwolf, Secret Moon, Tall Rasha, The Toilet Snake, Cerberus, Starlight Glimmer, Squiddy Boy, David E. Sanchez, Soul Dragon, Gaggy, Trey, Shadow Drake, Joe Piercy, Alex F., Rainbow Dash, Teal K. Anderson, TV Killer, and John Becker.
Thanks for watching me tease the Tartarus out of Celestia, and how about you give me and my changeling some love? Oh, and live life to the fullest or whatever.